And with that, I'm about to announce our last panel of the day on this international stage. We'll be looking at the growing decentralized identity ecosystem before the EIDAS2 revolution. And for that, I have two speakers with me, and I know they are already online. We have Daniele Citterio. He's the Chief Technology Officer of InfoCert. And we have Goran Stojadinovic. He's the Serbian Enterprise Sales and ICT Solutions Director for A1 Serbia. And it's a pleasure to have you here. Daniele, I can also see you. Goran, there you are. So thank you very much for joining the EIDAS Summit today. And have fun and enjoy the last 25 minutes on our international stage. The stage is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. So I'm going to share my screen. We will do jointly the presentation with Goran. And the idea is to share with you our vision of where decentralized identity is going in line with the EIDAS2 revolution, but without wait for the revolution starts. Because the experience that with the help of Goran we would like to share with you today is that it's possible today to start a real project that make a real change on the market and on the business model, thanks to the decentralized identity or self-sovereign identity introduction. So I don't want to dedicate too much time talking about the EIDAS2 regulation, because the panelists before us already touched this point a lot. Only this roadmap slide just to say that a lot of things are going in this moment. So there are different initiatives, either from the regulations or formal point of view, but most initiative on the technical and practical point of view. So there are two large tender running, one for the procurement of the wallet and one for the pilot of what the Commission call a large-scale project. And both of these tender will leverage the outcome of the Toolbox Commission that will publish, hopefully, end of October, a new version of the architectural reference framework. So everyone is looking for this evolution, but the risk is that all the people will wait and see. So as Georgia told us before, big techs are already moving. A lot of actors in the arena are already moving. So the risk to wait and see is the risk to lose the train when everything will start. And there are some indication from the market that the revolution is already starting. This nice survey run by Thales Group told us that the citizens, so the final user of the wallet, are really waiting for it. So there is a vast majority of the European citizen in 7 countries. This survey was run in 7 countries that are very happy. So 73% already have a informal way to share their documents on a wallet today, and 60% would like to use as soon as possible a new EU-based digital ID. And as always, there are two big hype around the advent of e-wallet that are security from one side. So someone is scared about the security, and convenience from the other side. So they expect the wallet can change their way to interact online, easier the life, respect of what is possible to do today. And at the same time, moving on the business side, without waiting for the PID, the PID, the person identifier that will be the core of the EIDAS2 regulation, so the digital identity that will be enrolled by member state, there are in the market a lot of use cases that do not strictly require the PID with a level of assurance high, that is our foundational identity. This is a partial list I take out from a report from CheckID that makes some assumption on the impact of self-sovereign identity adoption on different markets that do not require a level of assurance high to be run. So we have markets like the supply chain or the digital corporate identity, where substantial identity is good enough, and the focus is to offer services to the supplier chain from one side to internal employee. We personally know, for example, that on the digital corporate identity space, Microsoft just ran a couple of weeks ago his new initiative called Microsoft Entra, based on Active Directory and verifiable credential. And there is also a huge other field, the Web3, where also assuming a very small impact of SSI, but where the adoption of entry-level form of identity, at least, will enable a huge number of use cases. And the last, but probably most important, the target market that manage what we call lower assurance personal data. So everything that today is managed on paper will have a great benefit on the SSI adoption. And all this stuff without considering the fact that all the industry can create a real ecosystem effect with a huge potential. So in our opinion, it's really important to start today. So in InfoCert, we start working on these topics 3 years ago now. We start a foundation called Dizme ID Foundation that collect the interest of other players of the market that share the common vision to offer a way for our citizen or our customer to experiment the benefit of SSI identity today. For this reason, we create a layer of API that today, of course, is not aligned of what will be the future EIDAS regulation, because some technical details are missing on the architecture reference framework. But hiding the complexity behind, we can start working today and without changing the API integration, let our customer enjoy today the benefit of this architecture, having a wallet, being able to enroll qualified credential, being able to use the wallet to sign, and being able to use the wallet to implement what is called zero trust. So authenticate their system and authorize the user to access to relying party. Last but not least, is really important to have on this ecosystem also what we call monetization layer. So a way to control digital transaction and let the ecosystem actors pay for the value they get. This is very important because the current business model that have centralized data silos where the data ownership is always on the corporate side will not be able to move on the new paradigm, while the data ownership will shift to the customer, to the citizen. So it is important to have a method that, of course, should be based also on decentralized technology to monetize the transaction. And Goran will be an example of what is possible to do right now. Because we believe that given the technology level we have today and the components that are already out on the market, it's possible to start today what is called flywheel effect. So the opportunity to run an ecosystem business that starting from single initiative can leverage all the potential of the centralized identity. So what we are doing is offering a technical framework based on SSI, where a single company like A1 will tell us in a minute, can enable their own use case. So instead of having a real marketplace that is typically multi-side, it's possible to develop a single-side marketplace where a single company is either issuer and verifier, kick off his own service, his own business model, interact with his holder, generating value for the ecosystem. And this is possible today without having a complex compliance framework. Is good enough to have a technical framework that lower the cost of infrastructure to start this business. Of course, the second phase, the second wave that we call multi-site marketplace require the introduction of a governance framework. That is basically what will happen with the EIDAS2. EIDAS2, of course, will rule the foundational identity, but on the same level of the EIDAS2 foundational identity, we will have multiple governance framework that will be central for specific application domain. Like, for example, is happening on the company identity definition with the GLAI Foundation, or on the supply chain with the initiative led by GS1. So governance framework that define who can be the trusted issuer for that specific domain. This trusted issuer will link real-world identities to the holders, enabling the use case to be extended from the single issuer verifier to different verifier that enjoy the opportunity to have holder with a lot of attributes available and start their own transition to SSI. Of course, this transition will require also the evolution of the governance trust framework that should include all the vertical domain and all the businesses. This will enable the phase 3 when the ecosystem itself can be developed, because the tech companies, so the developer, can start to develop vertical application that instead of having user and password and the vertical silos of data as happened today, they will introduce a credential and credential exchange as a basic paradigm for their functioning. In this model, the Wave 3 ecosystem will launch definitely the market. An example of this is what we did with the vision and the help of Goran from A1 that will explain to us what he find in the decentralized identity.
Yeah, thank you, Daniele. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really a pleasure to have opportunity to talk at the conference and just briefly explain you the idea that we are, developing together with Daniele and his team, and maybe to ignite even more the urgency that is out there about, working on digital identity, i.e. access management in a broader meaning. And in his first part of the speech, Daniele was mentioning about some market potentials and understanding the size of the market that is in front of us. What I can tell you on the top of that, in the realm of the telco industry, 5G technology is really nearby. It's developing around other countries. And the 5G technology is bringing really staggering amount of IoT devices out there. And what will be the paramount task for all of us is really ownership over those IoT devices and how we manage access to those devices as something that is also, a proxy with this technology. So we all collectively need to think how to approach to this problem, and the time is now. However, some completely different problem and company pain point in the organization brought us to the idea of identity management. And basically, we were facing increasing number of fraud cases around our digital channels, and we were thinking how we can mitigate those increased cases of fraud. And our thoughts were heading into direction of some typical onboarding via video conferencing, or maybe some automatic processes via face recognition, so on and so forth. Of course, in resolving that problem, a proper partnership, proper vendor was, a proxy to resolve that. And that's how we came into touch with Daniele and the InfoCert group. And in our, dialogue and our discussion in some early phases, we plunged into the SSI technology, and we came into introduction of the ecosystem and what the SSI could do. Afterwards, what happened when we go back and start discussing internally, we were facing one big truth that is happening in our company and most probably around all tech companies. And that's the fact that very often we are bringing cutting-edge technology in the company to run the business smoothly, and rarely or even never we think how we can invert that technology to the public and commercialize it, I mean, for even on, I mean, benefit. And this is for the first time, I mean, moment when we say, okay, let's do it that way. Because in parallel, I mean, we have a regulation that allow us to raise the national identity platform. We are not a part of EU, but the local legislation is a copycat of EIDAS regulations. So we say, okay, let's bring platform, run around the wallet, run about around the SSI technology that can utilize, benefit not only for our customers, but also for entire population, and that can bring other players into the game. Okay. So having platform in place, I mean, Daniele, I think you can go to the next slide. No, the previous one, sorry.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
This one?
No, the next. Yeah, that one. So, sorry. So having platform in place means we are officially registered as the identity issuer for the particular schema, and all of our customers that are onboarded through our digital channels on the wallet further on can be logged, I mean, to our digital channels, and then they have an opportunity with this trusted level of insurance, who is another side, they have an opportunity to interact with our portfolio at a greater scale that they can do today. Of course, this is stipulated by the law. I mean, for example, today you cannot change your tariff plan unless you come to our shop, we identify you, and you sign off your contract. So with this technology in the place, basically allowing this seamless interaction with our customers and really stipulating this seamless customer journey end to end. Of course, the second factor of authentication and all of elements of the technology are there just to support the quality of the notion who is I mean on another side. And the most importantly, the customers onboarded on our wallet. This is the first way that Daniele was explaining. This is the profile that can be reused, I mean, again and again. Daniele, we can go further. Now we are coming to the point where, so what we plan to do, I mean, outside of the company usage. For the first time, we tried to build a new business model around this technology because this embedded monetization, tokenized process in the background of the Dizme stack allow us to do that. So at the first place, we want to use our digital channels to funnel the customers on the wallet to build the one side of the marketplace and come to this significant customer base. Okay. Once when we build this customer base, we want to go outside commercially and approach to some first, I mean, businesses that have a high need of the trusted identity, like governance, banks, insurance companies, and others. Okay. Once when we increase the popularity of the wallet and identity, we go to the next way. We want to onboard the other issuers in the game. For example, that could be a National Credit Bureau, COVID passports, or actually, hopefully not anymore COVID passport, but other credentials that can bring more value to the wallet. And then when you go to the next phase of increasing number of the verifiers, they can benefit for the new credentials, I mean, in the wallet. And then developing this ecosystem in the circles, as Daniele explained. Okay. So, I mean, I think briefly from my side, of course, I wish you a nice conference to all of people and mine opening time. Any questions that pop out, I mean, you can post, I think, now. Kim?
That's right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Daniele and Goran, for your presentation and your insights. So far, I do not see any questions on the chat, but we'll have to wait for 30 more seconds to see if people have some last minute ideas or things to discuss with you, because we have still a couple of minutes left. If not, for everyone else, this was our last panel on the international stage, but the EIDAS Summit is not over yet. We have one more panel for you in store. All the stages are coming together to our main stage, where we have another 50 to 55 minutes trying to look into the future and talk about the future of EIDAS and digital identities in Europe. This is a conversation which will be held in German. So if you at least understand German or are German speaking, feel free to join the main stage. And as there are no more questions in our room, again, Daniele, Goran, thank you very much for taking your time, for your insights on what you do and what your experience was. And for everyone, we're closing the stage now. Have a nice day. Thanks for joining. And it was said before, all the sessions are recorded. So if you're interested to see what happened on the other stages while you were here, feel free to check out Soft Garden, and also during the next days, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. And if you want to join the online conversation, also check out the hashtag EIDAS22.
Thank you so much.
And with that, it was a pleasure having you all here. It was a pleasure hosting you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.